rubbing.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. While the intro was playing, I could just hear this weird noise, and it was Goodwill rubbing his hands together. And I was just like, "What? You must really like this episode." I was like,
I love trekking up north. Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Her ongoing mission, until we are cancelled and replaced by something far superior, to review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence, to seek out new guests and make them very, very uncomfortable, to boldly go where many other YouTube Star Trek based type thing shows have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers, and welcome to another episode of Trekking Up North. I am your host, Captain Goodwill, and joining me, as ever, is the delectable Gistion from the planet
"Oh,
Hog. It's Science Officer Synoiz!
hello, hello, hello."
How are you diddling?
I'm doing well. I've survived my first week of Newcastle Drag Idol, which is the wonderful, world-renowned drag competition that I cut my teeth with, and yeah, and that I do the companion show with. But it is my busiest period of the year, so I'm totally booked up, like Sundays through to Thursdays, and then it means I have Friday and Saturday to do this and all the other podcasts and stuff. So yeah, roll on April. But I'm doing well. We had the Nerdy Up North quiz yesterday for February, which was absolutely incredible. And we raised £200 for Pride Action North. So thank you everyone who came along. Yeah, the next one we've got is in March, and it's Disney themed, which should be quite fun, I think. Yeah. Disney knowledge on.
As you said Disney, my headphones died, so I think Razor is
It's the
anti-Disney.
spirit of Disney.
Yeah, there we go. Razor is anti-Disney. Yes.
I'm excited for this episode because this is the first one we've got from the new Dabo Wheels of Trek. This is one of the ones spun from the Dabo Wheel of Honor.
The Double Wheel of Honor. But speaking of the Double Wheel, Science Officer Synoiz, we have received our very first challenge. That's right. We are receiving an incoming transmission from someone called Isaac.
Incoming transmission.
Oh.
G'day guys, it is Isaac here from the Trek 365 podcast. I'm paging Captain Goodwill and Science Officer Synoiz from the planet. We have a challenge for you. Can you name 10 characters that only appear in one episode of Trek? If you can do that, you can spin from the good Darbo wheel, but if not, you'll have to spin the evil or bad wheel. The Darbo wheel, that is. Let me know how you go, and I will be watching. Thank you, gents. Bye-bye.
Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute.
10
It's
characters.
a tough one though. Like that's it. I'm like, oh, if it was 5, I'm like I could probably do 5, but 10.
Well, if you do 5, I'll do 5. How that? We will unite on this challenge because I want to keep on the good double wheel. So.
Well, what we've got to do is we've got to explain to the viewers, if you haven't watched our Dabo Wheel episode where we explain all the episodes that are in the good wheel and the bad wheel.
Good wheel.
The good Captain Goodwill. Am I Science Officer crap wheel? I don't know, bad wheel. That actually, if you're a good wheel, that suggests the existence of a bad wheel somewhere in the world. But yeah, we haven't really fleshed out the rules of this, so obviously I don't know what our time limit is or anything. But basically, if we get this right, we get to spin on the wheel of good episodes, which is 23 after this one, because the episode we're reviewing today is from the good wheel. But then we get to spin on the good wheel again and get one of those wonderful 23 episodes. But if we can't do it, then we have to spin on the bad wheel, which is 24 of the worst episodes in our opinion. So
I think we need to set a timer. And I think that timer needs to be, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to name 5 unique characters in Star Trek that only appeared in one episode. Are you...
As a caveat, can we ignore Lower Decks? Because the problem is, I'm thinking of a few, but I'm like, I think they might have appeared in Lower Decks, like as a sort of, hello, I'm here, and you're like, no, you're not. Fuck off.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we'll skip
Okay.
Lower Decks because Lower Decks is just one big Easter egg, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I will give you. God, this is going to be.
Okay.
We're going to be on a bad wheel. I can feel it. I will give you 60 seconds for you to name 5 characters, and then once you've got 5 characters, I will go after you.
You go. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes. I'll give it a go. Okay.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. There's the Cardassian bloke who is like Kira's dad. No, he's in 2 episodes. I know Admiral Sati from the Drumhead. She's only in 1 episode. Measure of a Man is Bruce Maddox, like Dr. Bruce Maddox. He's only in 1 episode. I think he's referenced. Oh no, he's in Picard. Oh bollocks. The Devil Woman. What they called Astra.
2. Yeah.
Astra. No.
Astral.
No, Arda. She's called Arda.
There's 2.
And then there's the problem is the amazing Okana was in Prodigy. So I'm like, what was the name of the Vulcan? The Vulcan that turns out to be a Romulan and they betray him.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
It's really difficult. I can't remember the names, man. Oh, you got Okana, you got Maddox, you've got Arda.
Time.
Evil Keiko. Evil Keiko.
So Science Officer
Keiko?
Synoiz, Science Officer Synoiz has put me in the shit because he's only give me 2 characters. Okay.
Oh, Nira, who is
Oh
in
no,
this
no,
episode,
no!
is
You
in
can't,
Strange New
you
Worlds.
can't, you can't do that now. You can't give me the answer now. You've given me 2. Time is up.
Oh, it's the time. Oh.
I have to give you. I now have to find 8 characters. Oh my god! Right.
It's really tough, man. I was just like,
Oh god! Right. This is.
I was trying to everyone I was thinking about. I was like, no, they get another episode, bastards. Even Akana, if Prodigy wasn't around, Akana would have been fine.
Prodigy.
Duh.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. 60 seconds for me to get 8 unique characters. Starting now. Donatra from Star Trek Nemesis. Tholian Soren from Star Trek Generations. We have Nira from Strange New Worlds, Ad Astra Per Aspera, because I'm going to use it because fuck it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's done. It's T'Pol's boyfriend, like fiance, whatever his name
T'Pol's
is.
boyfriend from Star Trek Enterprise. That's 4. Oh my god, I've got 35 seconds. Richard Daystrom from the original series. Dr. Richard Daystrom. That's 5. Apollo from the original series. That's 6.
Yeah.
What was his name? What was his name in the original series? The original Q. Oh my god, I got 3 seconds. No.
Oh. It's so difficult.
Oh, we got 8.
5 we could have done, but 10, you're like, Isaac.
We got 8. Trelane! Oh, you son of a bitch.
Trelane. Oh, there we go. Oh, who's the person I'm thinking of? Hold on. What do I type in? Romulan defector.
Oh,
Woman.
the defector.
Romulan.
Oh my god. I could have just gone through the movies, but no, I had to be a dick. Oh, right.
See, that's it. I was even thinking about bloody what's Spock's wife called?
T'Pring.
Yeah, T'Pring. She's only in
been
1
in
episode
loads.
until Strange New Worlds.
Until
wasn't it?
Strange New Worlds, yeah.
Yeah,
Damn you
just
for
like-
bringing characters back.
Damn you, modern Trek, fleshing
Okay.
out all these amazing characters.
Okay, so we got 8 out of 10. So we have to spin the bad dabble wheel. So we will do the dabble wheel of shame after our review of this fantastic episode of Strange New Worlds. Now, fans of Trekkin Up North will realise Captain Goodwill, Science Officer Synoiz, you kind of already done this one 2 years ago. We know, we don't care.
Shut up.
Shut up. We are going to re-review this episode from 2025's perspective, because it has been a hot minute since this aired. But however, I feel that the themes in this episode are relevant more today than they were in 2023, given that everything that's going on in the world. But wow, I rewatched this episode today for the 4th time, I think, in total. It still holds up, man. It is still a fantastic episode.
Well, you know what annoys me is that you get a lot of people, because obviously I'm very negative about Discovery and stuff like that. Like, I didn't enjoy it, but I'm very positive about all the other modern Trek we've got, like Prodigy, Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
Even season 3 of Picard, even though 1 and 2 were, but it's the fact. That's the best description I can give of 1 and 2. I'm very. Oh no, we risk it. We really risk there being an episode of season 1 or 2 of Picard coming up on the Bad Dabber
City
Wheel.
Rag, isn't it? I can feel it.
Oh, we've done this to ourselves. Damn you, Isaac. But yeah, but it's the fact of just like, this is perfect Trek. This episode here is, and this is why why I nearly put it on the wheel, and I'm glad that you put it on the wheel, because everyone's like, oh, modern Trek's rubbish and stuff like that, and you're like, it's not. Modern Trek can be absolutely incredible. We have shows like this, and it has all of the values at the core of Star Trek, where it's socio-political, like, discussion that we can apply to our everyday lives, but without being sort of the overt Discovery. No, we're talking about the thing we're talking about, and you're like, no, do it by allegory. Like, get it into the idiots' heads like a Trojan horse, be like, hey, isn't it horrible how this person's being treated? Wouldn't it be awful to treat people like that because of this? And you're just going, do you get it now? Have we coerced a bit of empathy out of you? But
it's very much classic Star Trek storytelling, and it is modern Trek's drumhead and measure of a man, I would say. It is an incredible... I mean, we said this when this first aired in 2023. This should have been the opening episode of season 2 of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we don't know why, it was episode 2. So the cliffhanger that we had at the end of season 1, we had to wait 1 extra week to get a full resolution to it. But I can't describe how much I love this episode. I am a huge Star Trek fan. Everyone knows I'm a huge Star Trek fan, but this is modern day storytelling set in a science fiction environment, and it tackles all of those issues that a lot of people are facing today in the modern world, and it just deals with them head on, and it sends a very powerful message that yes, this is a utopia, but what is the sacrifice for this utopia? Your Federation believes that everyone should be free and there is no discrimination, there is no punishment. However, you are not perfect, because you kind of do discriminate against an alien race based on fears and prejudices that you have on the past. And you're all about looking forward and working together. However, you subjugate an entire race because of your fears.
And it's very much also the discussion of laws shouldn't be forever. Like, it's the idea laws should always be reconsidered, and that what is the norm for society and what is the way of doing things should always be put into question and going, hey, is that still the case? Is that, like with anything, you experiment and you go like, hey, is that still the same way? Like, do you ever, like, for instance, last night after the quiz, I had the yearly discussion with one of the lovely attendees who was a massive Babylon 5 fan. And we get into my yearly thing, which is that I go, I hate Babylon 5. I really don't enjoy it. And then I meet someone who loves it, and it means so much to them. And they have all of this praise to like shower upon it. And then I go, I need to watch it again. I need to watch Babylon 5 again because I must be wrong if people love it this much. And obviously, every time I do, I go, nope, still pile of wank. But it's the
problem
fact
with
of
the
I
problem with
still allow myself to challenge myself and be like, going, maybe I just didn't get it the other 4 times, like.
the problem with Babylon 5, and I was very much in the same boat. When it first aired in the 90s, I gave it a try. However, I was a young whippersnapper and I just completely failed to understand this sci-fi show. I was a Trekkie, so any other sci-fi that wasn't like Star Trek, I was like, I don't get this. It is alien to me. I don't like it. And then I tried again in the early 2000s, and I just couldn't get into it. And then I again, I think it was 5 times. I tried to get in, and the 5th time, it was for some reason it was on a random TV channel on Freeview, and I'd come home from work and Babylon 5 was on, and I watched it, and I can't describe it, but something just clicked, and I watched it all the way through to the end. Now, by no means it is a perfect sci-fi show. It has some serious weak points. It is very dated when it comes to its CG and certain types of.
We can forgive that though.
We can forgive that, but there are merits in it. And I know we joke on Trekking about Babylon 5 and Babylon 5, Deep Space Nine, blah blah, but it does have its merits. But it cannot compare to Star Trek when you've got episodes like Ad Astra Per Aspera, The Drumhead, Measure of a Man, because yes, it's got.
I can't think of anything comparable.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything comparable with the storytelling in Babylon 5 to the storytelling that we get in Trek, especially episodes like this.
The only thing I can compare it to, and it is so recent, is the Orville. And that's it, because for those that haven't seen it, the Orville is essentially Star Trek without the name. Now, Seth MacFarlane, if you believe the rumors, I don't know if it's ever been confirmed, but the Hollywood rumor was CBS Paramount were fielding pitches for a new Star Trek series. So Jonathan Frakes went in, a few other people went in, and Seth MacFarlane also went in with a pitch. And it was essentially the classic episodic Star Trek that we all know and love, with one ship, blah 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 blah. And they didn't do it. So Seth walked out and went, I'm going to make it anyway. And that's how the Orville was born. But if you watch the Orville, it is just brimming with Trek alumni, writers, directors, actors, special effects. I mean, hell, it's no secret now. The Orville season 4 is coming. This is an exclusive for those that don't know, but the Orville season 4 is coming, and I know a few people working on it. Now, in the Orville, they had courtroom scenes. They had a courtroom episode, and it was astonishingly good.
That was the transgender one, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. And for a comedy sci-fi series, this was far from it. This showed that this series could be more than what the first few episodes. It was absolutely amazing, and any Star Trek fan who watches it goes, this is just essentially Star Trek. So, but for me, to draw a comparison to Ad Astra, it has to just be the Orville. There is nothing outside of Star Trek that has come even close to having this level of storytelling and this level of writing when it comes to something like this.
And I think that's the joy of Strange New Worlds, is the fact that it manages to do the amazing Trek feat of being everything. Going, hey, look, it's a comedy episode where everyone's being really silly. Oh, look, like those old scientists. Oh, look, it's a musical episode where everyone's singing and whatnot. But then also, hey, here's a frightening episode where it's got the Gorn like attacking and everything. And here's a tragic episode where Hemmer? Yeah, Hemmer dies. And then Ad Astra, where it's just going, here's an amazing politics and like identity episode where we flesh out characters, because this isn't just an episode about Una. It's about Una's relationship with her friend, and then her crew's relationship with her, and then also La'an, where it's the idea of La'an feeling that she's betrayed Una somehow. and it's just, and you just go, this is the character development I want. This is an episode
Yeah.
where we go, hey, it's about this person, but that doesn't mean that everyone else gets forgotten about. Like, that doesn't mean that we don't get to go, hey, let's put a lot of Pike development in and show the awkward relationship that, like, the struggles that Pike has. Because it is his girlfriend who's accusing
It is. It is.
Una, yeah.
She is.
She has a
is the
different
attorney.
haircut, so I got really confused.
She's the attorney, but she's obviously. I think we just called him Admiral Penis the last time.
I wrote down in notes he's called Pasalk, I think.
Pasak.
Pasak, yeah.
I think we just called him Admiral Penis the last time.
No, we called him the Hood.
Oh, the Hood. Yes, he is the Hood.
We called him the Hood because he's just got these massive eyebrows.
They are offensive. I mean, bro, go to a browologist.
Oh, that's what I should have done. I should have painted my eyebrows to be massive so I could be like.
We need to get
so I could be
you Vulcan
Pasalk.
ears. We need to get you Vulcan ears.
That's what I'll do. A destination. I'll go as a. I'll go as Pasalk.
But that was the conflict between Pike and obviously his girlfriend, who's the attorney, and then her boss, the Jag, who Jag, sorry, Judge Advocate General, which is the office. It was. She sees both sides of it, but Pasak was just unemotional and just sees the pure logic in everything as a normal Vulcan. And I think we should give a brief summary for those who haven't seen the episode. I mean, I highly recommend going to watch Strange New Worlds as a whole, but this episode alone just blows it out of the water. So,
what I was going to say earlier, and I totally got distracted, was the idea of there are a few episodes where you just go, how would you introduce someone to Star Trek? Like, what is the first episode that you would give someone? And obviously for DS9, I would say, oh, here's Duet. Like, Duet is the episode that I would get people on because it's a very simple plot. It introduces all the characters fine, and it tells this amazing emotional narrative. I think with Strange New Worlds, this is probably the episode I would give them. I can just be like, hey, did you like that? Did you like the characters in there? Cool. Start from season 1, build on knowing what you know now, you know?
So the whole premise of this episode is Una Chin Riley, who was the first officer of the Enterprise, has been arrested because it has been found out that she is an Illyrian. Now, Illyrians, in their some might say religious or traditional practices, practice genetic alteration of their children, even in adults. And one of the rules of the United Federation of Planets is that no genetically enhanced or augmented person can join Starfleet because humanity had the eugenics wars of the 21st century. We had Khan Noonien Singh. It was a whole to-do, millions died. So because of that devastating war, this ban is in place in Starfleet. They find out that Una is an Illyrian, thus augmented genetically. She is arrested, and this is the proceeding court-martial to determine her fate. Now, at the beginning of the episode, she is given an alternative of a very quiet discharge. She steps down from Starfleet. She can still remain a Federation citizen, but she just slinks away. So Starfleet can cover their mistake and just bury the records. And Una quite defiantly goes, no, you will not forget about me. You will not forget about my merits and everything that I have done. And as a response, Admiral Pasak, or the Hood, seeks for a dishonourable discharge and 20 years in a Federation penal colony. So they offered her the chance to go away and they'd bury the records. She said no, so now they've doubled down to make an example of her.
Yeah. No, that is basically the best thing. And then what happens is we see Captain Pike going on a mission to an Illyrian world in order to find an old friend of Una who is one of her best friends from childhood that she has that they fell out with. And we find out over the course of the episode that they fell out because Una's family moved to the non-augmented, because it was a segregated community they had, where basically they had augments in one city and non-augments in another city. And her family, because they were able to pass, because people weren't able to see that they were augments immediately, they were able to live in the non-augmented city and have a better quality of life than her. So basically, there's been this animosity there between them, and they haven't spoken for like 25 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the episode is also that because she's the best lawyer for these kind of cases where it's basically discrimination based upon race, well, especially with Valyrians and whatnot, and this is a lawyer who has a grudge against the Federation. Nira is really trying to sort of bring the Federation to justice and point out just how biased and effectively racist they are
Yep.
with this particular set of laws that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's also the development of getting that lawyer. Pike gets that lawyer on board, brings her through, and then the whole episode kind of takes place in the courtroom where it's like going, "Hey, what about this? What about this?" It's yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Nira's whole performance in this episode. It is worthy of an award.
Yeah.
And I'm quite disgusted that the actor did not get an award for this, because it absolutely was the star of the whole episode for me.
Yeah.
The way that Nira is portrayed throughout the episode, she is hard-faced, shall we say. She is determined, and she does have that undeniable, not hatred, but dislike for Starfleet, particularly. However, the way that she handles herself throughout the case, and you can see in certain aspects where, when she's put Una on the stand, and they are, it's exposition for the audience as well as testimony for the court, but the way that the actor just composes themselves all the way through this scene, where this is a deep-seated, hurtful part of their life, where Una, who was their close friend, left for the other segregated part of the colony, the non-Illyrian part of the colony, abandoned her, and essentially the animosity that she has towards Una is, not only did you abandon me, you abandoned your entire people, your entire species.
And the allegory here is great because you can apply it to so many different things, because it's not it's not like not attacking, no, it's not like covering one specific thing. Like, we can talk about this being sort of sexuality, we can talk about it being like transgenderism, we can talk about it being race, we can talk about it about being religious persecution, like it can all be tackled in these different things, because effectively what it is persecution. It is an ism based upon something that someone can't necessarily control. And one thing that I realized in the rewatch of this, like watching this recently for this, I don't think I commented on Nira's amazing performance, because she gets the nuance of someone who is a minority but is also bigoted. It's the fact that Nira has this chip on her shoulder. She is, and you see it in the gay community, where you get people who are like, "Oh, you didn't have to come out." Like, so we have so many actors, like there's so many famous actors in Hollywood that no one knows are gay. And, obviously behind the scenes, everyone knows they're gay, but because they're not obviously gay, then they can pass. So they can have like a fake wife. They can have this sort of like, "Oh, look, they've got a different wife." And, "Oh, look, they had a baby through a surrogate." And you're sitting there being like, "Oh, I wonder how that," and all of that nonsense.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there being like, just come out. But they don't need to. They can happily hide. But then they're not doing anything to help the community. They're not sort of bringing gay rights forward, or sort of actually sort of inspiring people to go, "Oh, wow, if that person can be gay, then maybe gay people aren't that bad," And it's very much the same with transgender people, where we get like some transgender people where they identify as a woman, and you look at them and you're like, "Well, you don't typically look like a woman, you don't pass, so to speak." And like the fact of how horrible it is that they have to fit this kind of standard in order to be who they want to be and be accepted by society, whereas you can have someone else who just literally puts makeup on and looks like a beautiful woman and no one would ever know. And the fact that that person there doesn't need to come out as transgender, that person there doesn't have the hardships that the other person does. But it's us tackling in this episode the bitterness that you can get from one side, where Nira's basically going, "Oh yeah, it must be great for you that you were able to hide, whereas the rest of us had no choice. As soon as we did a particular thing, as soon as we were in a particular situation, as soon as we went to a hospital, everyone immediately goes, oh, right, you know. And I think that's wonderful that they made the I think the reason why Nero is so good and the reason why the acting is so good is because she has a lot of nuance physically, where she has all these little ways that she carries herself. She has like ways that she sort of looks and like, you know, interacts with her characters that is really good and really sort of subtle. But also she kind of gets across this anger, this kind of I don't want to be here. I'm getting sick of doing this fight. I'm getting sick of hitting my head against a brick wall. And then even at the end when they have this resolution and she's like, yeah, it wasn't the best thing. It wasn't the best resolution in the world because it's
It's
not
a
going to help my
start.
cases too much, but it's a start.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's the renewing the patience of the fighter, but then also sort of making the person who was hiding into a fighter. And obviously, spoilers for later in the episode, it turns out that basically everyone is looking around for who dobbed Una in effectively. Who was the person who basically said, "Oh yeah, she's an augment. You should like fire her." And it turns out that it was Una herself, because the only way for her to actually go, you know, to be able to sleep at night and be able to get this fear out of her heart was to just go, "Yeah, let's get it over with. Let's see if we can do some
But
good with this."
but quite cleverly, Nera gets the Starfleet uniform code of
Hmm.
justice, and the way
I got really confused by this because I've never heard of a document like that. And I was like, why is she looking at the uniform code? Like whether to wear dress, dress
that's
suit or
that
not.
yeah,
And I was like,
it's very much American Navy
it's a big
references.
book for just
It is,
uniforms. I'll give it
uh,
that.
yeah. The maroon must be this font color.
That's how much of it. That's how much of it is dedicated to Monster Maru.
I mean, it's might well call it the Starfleet Book of Goodwill Anal, because like even like the colours and everything for the panels, Mike has kindly done it as the actual colour coding. And by the way, a huge thank you for Michael from Clone Star Podcast, Mike Overton, for doing not only this layout, but the personalised Strange New World screensaver at the beginning of this episode for the adequate. But it's that point, going back to the episode, where she uses the Starfleet uniform code against Starfleet when it comes to Una, because she knew deep down it was Una herself who turned herself in.
Yeah.
She played Starfleet at their own game, because we think, like, towards the end of the episode, we think it's all over because Admiral Pasak, who has been an absolute bellend throughout this episode without saying a word, like the conversation between him and Spock in the mess hall, where Spock goes, "I apologize for that outburst," despite the fact he did nothing.
Yeah.
But like Umbenga's going, they hate each other.
Wait,
They can
what?
say
What?
a lot without body language.
We should probably describe this scene. There is a scene in the mess hall where basically, yeah, where Ortega and Umbenga are watching Spock and Pasak,
Pasak.
Pasak, Pasak, and they're literally just sitting opposite from each other, just looking at each other. They're not even talking. And Ortega's like, oh, all being buddy buddy, you know, these bloody, you know, he's a bastard and Spock's just getting on with him, like, oh, what the hell? And then Mbenga's like, no, no, you can't see. They hate each other. Like the
Yeah.
tension is there, and we can't see it. But like I said last time, it's the fact of that's the nuance of Star Trek. The idea of
Yeah.
going, yeah, we can't see the nuances in another race that those people would be able to.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that Pasak is just disliked by everyone, where he is the king of anal. And
Yeah.
that is a rare title to give out outside of Berlin. That is. It's. But it just. He's. And he very, very much represents the idea of someone being purely fixated on the law. Being like, hey, you have to hey, if it's written this way, then that's the way it'll always be, and we have to follow it blindly. We can't bring emotion into this. And this is the problem. It's why I think Vulcans might be the worst choices for lawyers in all of
Yeah.
Star Trek, because there doesn't seem like, Spock gets it, but then Spock isn't a typical Vulcan. He is a half Vulcan. It's the fact of like Vulcans being like, well, that's what it says on paper, so without any emotion, we can't really factor in random like
They don't
mitigating
think outside of
circumstances.
the box. They
Yeah.
just see they take it so literally. They go, no, the law is the law. They can't bend it. They can't, because it is literally not in the Vulcans' nature. Also, I am dreading doing the YouTube shorts for this now because it's going to say Pasak, King of the Anal. But he,
I think to be fair, that needs to be a clip. I think
he, all the way through the episode, he says nothing throughout the episode until the very end. But he doesn't have to say anything. And again, it goes back to that mess hall scene where it's the body language. Like when when Starfleet's attorney, I can never remember her name. I apologize. I will have to get it up. Pike's girlfriend's name.
I can never remember. Like I don't want to criticize, but I do think she's a bit of a non-entity in Strange New Worlds. Like I've never found an episode where I think that she's contributed to it, which is a shame to say because so many characters in Strange New Worlds, most characters in Strange New Worlds are amazing. That's what I got confused with. I wrote Patel, and then I was like, wait, is it Patel or Pasal?
I thought it was Patel.
Oh,
it was Batel. Yeah. But there was a scene in the courtroom section earlier on where Batel is about to ask something.
It's more the idea of like Nira basically gets them. Nira gets them with a really, really good point, and then Batel is about to sort of argue it, and then Pasal just goes.
No, this is before. There's a bit where Batel is observing what's going on, and then Pasak just taps her on the shoulder and basically goes, "Your turn, go on," and does that, and just that alone, just someone doing that. Oh, honestly, I hated it.
It's so disrespectful. It's so cold.
But when he did it the last time, like you mentioned there, when Patel was about to
attempt an argument, and he just goes, "No, this requires me," which is disrespectful
and he just taps her and pushes her down. Well.
And you just go, what a piece of work. And this is the problem that we have with law, where it's the fact that we have people who are like, I've been in this department for like 25 years, 100 for fucking Pasak, who knows? And they're like, I know everything, kind of thing. And I've done this. I wouldn't still be here if I was crap at my job. And you're like, no, just because someone hasn't fired you doesn't mean you're amazing at your job. And it's that kind of, and we can very much relate to these horrible people that we get in companies where you're just like, what's the point of being employed if you're not going to be a human to your colleagues? And it's very much like, and we kind of just go, even other Vulcans hate him, because even as a Vulcan, he is like, that's it. Even as a Vulcan, he is like disliked. He's too cold. And for a race that like subdues their emotions, it says a lot that it's like he's not just unemotional, he is nasty. He is like antagonistic, even just through movement. Oh, sorry, it's so good because we talk about Nero being amazing in this episode because she is, but it's like the fact that Pasak does all of this with nothing. Like he gets one sentence, I think, in the whole episode, and yet we're talking this much about him.
You have to admit, though, I mean, 2023 was a great year for Star Trek.
We should have said Pasak.
Pasak.
We could have had 9 in the quiz. We totally missed it. Okay.
We could have had 3 judges as well.
We don't know their names, though. We can't just be like...
The Tellarite.
Tellarite. Isaac's gonna call us, being like, "Yeah, that was cheating. You can't just do that Klingon."
I am awaiting the abusive messages from Isaac when he sees this episode. Going, "You suck."
You'll get his kids to do it. You'll get his kids to tell us we suck.
But yeah, it's. I've lost my train of thought now. What was I doing? 2023. Like when you look at 2023 in the world of Star Trek, it was a stellar year. Now. Discovery gets, whether you consider it necessary or an unnecessary beating for the lack of character development when it comes to its bridge crew and everything like that. However, Strange New Worlds completely bucked the trend when it came to New Trek. I mean, I know Lower Decks was Lower Decks, but Strange New Worlds completely bucked the trend because immediately from the first episode we knew who everyone was, what their roles were, and all of their characters throughout the first season were slowly being defined, and we were getting these sub-character focused episodes, and we got them in season 2, yada yada yada. And then we had Picard season 3 that did the same with the Titan bridge crew, and it goes to show that it's not because it's New Trek or anything like that, it's just how they are written and how well they are written. And for me, as much as I hate to say it, I will be sad when Strange New Worlds ends, and it's probably going to be after season 5, because there's a rule that if a show progresses past 5 seasons, that the company has to pay royalties to the actors in it for the syndication, for the repeats and everything like that, blah blah blah.
That's shocking that they're going to stop because of that.
So that's why Discovery finished at season 5, Lower Decks finished at season 5, and probably Strange New Worlds will end at season 5, unless it is astronomically successful. So again, this is another reason why we are reviewing this episode, because the more people that watch these episodes of Star Trek, the more the almighty useless algorithm of streaming services go, oh, actually there's a lot of people watching this, there's a lot of subscribers, and they are just constantly watching this. So yeah, but the character development alone, what the one thing that Strange New Worlds does extremely well is fully develop a character so much to the point where we have an emotive response to them based on nothing but a hand gesture, the way they sit, the way they look at someone. And you have to admit it, we had this with in season 2 with Spock's not Spock's mother, T'Pring's mother, where she was another character we could have done. But it was a case of, like, she was in one episode, but her character was so strong and so brilliantly portrayed that the emotive response from the audience was, "Oh, I bloody hate her." And it was,
and that's it. To elicit a response, whether it's good or bad, it suggests something about the actor. It suggests something about the ability of the acting. It's so good.
But so the way that Neera essentially plays Starfleet and saying, well, hang on a minute, so because Pasak essentially does not only want to charge Una with lying.
But the problem is that this is what we get. Like, this is, because this is directly comparable to what we had in the army, where basically if you were found out to be gay, it was like, okay, cool, well, what we'll do is we'll be nice and we'll just give you a dishonorable dismissal, and we'll sort of kick you out of the army. But if you actually want to try and fight us, then we need to make an example of you. We need to actually go, hey, we need to stop other people doing this. We need to, dissuade gay people from joining the military. And to do that, we need to be as absolutely horrible to you as possible. And it's disgusting. And these things genuinely happened. And so what they do is, as soon as, like, Neera gets on board, takes over as Una's lawyer. Because hilariously, the first scene we get is basically Una and her Starfleet appointed lawyer, representative, talking to talking to Batel. And Una basically just goes like, yeah, like, how is this person supposed to represent me when he works for you?
Yeah.
And it's that whole Luna, and this is what we get with a load of these trials, where it's like, hang on, what the hell? So this person is a government official, but then I'm being attacked by the government, and it's just it's so wonderful that it portrays this, where they turn on her like wolves when she puts up a bit of a fight, when she won't just put her tail between her legs and go, okay, well, you can just say that I never existed, and then you'll never have to own up to, oh, look, this gay person or this, like, augmented person did all of these amazing things for Starfleet and proves that we're not bad.
I mean,
and they're just like, no, we need to delete that because that makes it seem like we're racist pieces of shit. And
I mean,
it's so
to a lesser
beautiful.
extent, to a lesser extent, I have faced this
Yeah.
where people have quietly tried to move me aside or dispatch me, and then when you go, well, actually, no, you can't do this because of X, Y, and Z, the double down begins, and it's going, okay, we were nice to begin with, now we are going to make your life a living hell. And it's sickening. It is absolutely disgusting that they feel that, well, if you won't quietly go off into the sunset, we will make your life a living hell and persecute you until everything is intolerable and you either get fired or you just walk away of your
Yeah.
own accord. And it is absolutely,
Well,
it is
they
shameful.
go. They in this episode they go from, okay, you can have dishonorable dismissal and we'll basically allow you to still be, like a Federation citizen, and we'll allow you to sort of go free, and then they switch it up to going, nope, nope, you will be court-martialed and you will have at least 25 years in
Yeah,
prison. And it's like, wow, that's a bit of a jump right there.
yeah, yeah,
But I think though the best that one of the best things about this episode is it gives us an insight to what Starfleet looks like from the outside,
yeah,
because we don't often see that, because all of the Star Trek shows are from the Starfleet perspective, and like Lower Decks has added a little bit in places and stuff, and like, but it's the you know it's like Section 31 had the perfect opportunity to do this, and then it kind of played it as a joke, where it was, oh, that's the Starfleet person, oh, they're all sort of like, perfect, and like, like they're all like sort of perfect and sort of ideological and whatnot. And then you're like, no, no, you could have done so much more with this. And this episode does it, where it kind of just goes, yeah, actually, there are people who look at Starfleet and go, racist pieces of shit. Like,
yeah,
what horrible, bigoted bastards they are. And that's crazy. That's not what we get from Next Generation. That's not what we get from Voyager. That's not what we get from like DS9. We get this, hey, we're here to help. We're here to, be lovely to everyone. We're here to get people on board and bring other planets and bring different races on board and stuff. But then realizing that you can be a good person, but then have some inner bias.
yeah,
You can have a bit like, you could be like for instance, like me, not liking bloody Babylon 5 or not liking Discovery. Everyone's like, oh, they're so nice about Star Trek. They're constantly talking about how nice Star Trek is. And I'm like, yeah, but fucking Discovery, mate. Like, and
no one franchise has a perfect run. Let's be
yeah,
honest. Star Wars doesn't. Star Wars certainly doesn't. Star Trek absolutely doesn't. Babylon 5 didn't.
yeah.
Name me a franchise on this planet that you go, do you know what? Every single thing about that is perfect. No nuts. I can't. I genuinely cannot name anything because even some of my most favorite franchises, Indiana Jones, for God's sakes,
Oh god, especially
exactly.
now.
There was only 3 movies, but it's. Do you know what I mean? Like there is no perfect franchise. I mean, compare it to The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? That's been going for what 30,000 years. There was only 10 good seasons, and we are what we're trying to say is we are absolutely not dunking on Discovery. You watch the Dabble, we'll bring up a disco episode, but we
It's gonna happen.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna be so cal. But we are allowed to like and dislike what we want, but we will always do it in a critical, non-biased way. We will go, this is not good because of this. Like in our section 31.
However, though, like, to take you off track, it's the fact of what happens when it is enshrined in law. And that's
Yeah,
the problem, where we all have these biases, we all have these little, things that we have, but the whole point is that we go, yes, but law should never reflect that. Law should never reflect racism or homophobia or any kind of discrimination. It should be there to protect everybody. And as soon as we allow sort of biases to come in, which is why us being a whole community where everyone has little biases and stuff like that, we work them out as a community because we don't act upon them or they get cancelled out by other people doing good. Like And I think nowadays we have this horrible thing where people think that people need to be perfect. So we have like all these celebrities who people worship and they go like, oh, they're absolutely, oh, they're beautiful and they're perfect and stuff like that. And then as soon as one bad thing comes out about them, like, oh, they don't like this or whatever, then they're cancelled and people like can't deal with it. And we're like, no, that's like imagine like if it came out that like Taylor Swift sort of, I don't know, like kicked a puppy or something. And then all these people are like, but
Again,
she can't. She can't do that because she's perfect. And it's like, no, you just that's not the
everyone
way
has flaws.
to see the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone has flaws, and I think going back to this episode, let's not forget where this episode is set. The Federation is just under 100 years old. Starfleet is just over 100 years old. Essentially, this is a civilization, this is a democracy in its infancy, and we are seeing that for the first 100 years of the Federation, although they tried to practice this utopia, they still had archaic laws based on themes of the past. And
But the terrifying thing is it doesn't go away.
no,
It's the fact of, it's not like this episode goes, hey, we need to change the law. It ends with them going, we're going to make an exception now and we'll revisit things
Yeah.
and see how we feel. Because in DS9, we get, what's the episode? Dr. Bashir, I presume, which is the
Yeah.
episode where we find out that Dr. Julian Bashir is an augment.
yeah,
And they go, hey, we have to kick you out of Starfleet now.
yeah,
And it's the idea of going, wow, that's set so far after this,
yeah.
but then it's still happening, and it kind of shows that there's this. Obviously, it overdoes it when we get to like bloody Picard, but it's the idea of, hey, Starfleet's not perfect, and Starfleet has this sort of inner core of like, oh, but if we want to keep everyone happy, then we need to mistreat some people, or we can't have people who go against the plan, and it's why the Dominion are the perfect mirror to Starfleet. Well, they're not. They're similar. They're basically going. They're the dark half of Starfleet, where they're going. You could be doing this, so you could be controlling all these planets through fear and oppression, or you could be doing it through diplomacy and friendship.
Yeah.
And they're both doing the same thing. They're both sort of like these sort of galaxy-spanning empires. I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
No, no, you're absolutely right, because for any civilization or for any democracy, they have to learn, adapt, change, be flexible, and this is where you see. I mean, some might say this is an allegory for a certain Western superpower that's 200 odd years old, that's currently going batshit crazy, but again, it's these beliefs, these age-old beliefs, where they are absolutely refusing to be inflexible on. They are refusing to review these, and they're actually doubling down and going, yeah, we've had these beliefs, but now we've got more on top of these beliefs, and everyone should. And it's a case of, in order for a civilization to progress, to flourish, you need to be flexible. You need to bend and see everything. Like they say at the end of this episode, they need to review individual cases. They need to review how the law is applied to individual, because no one rule would apply to everyone. And it is a shame that this is set in 2259, and then in the 2370s, when Bashir is found out to be an augment, shall we say, genetically engineered, that they just want to kick him out of Starfleet. So in 120 years, not one person has gone, should we look at this? Should we take it? Were they genetically altered before they were born? Was it their voluntary decision to do this?
Yeah.
They just got no blanket ban on the whole thing.
And that's it. And it's very much that kind of like, if you like the whole point is Una never got a choice. Una, it was done to Una because of their culture. She didn't get a say in it, kind of thing. Same as Bashir, where he was like a sort of a slow child, and his parents went, yeah, we don't want a kid like this, so we're going to get them sorted out, kind of thing. He didn't get a yes or no decision on whether he wanted to do it, and yet he's still persecuted. And it's like people don't choose their skin color. People don't choose whether to be sort of gay or straight. It's the idea of going, hey, but you're still going to be persecuted for it, even though you didn't get a choice. And And I think that's what's so important about Pasark being there, because he very much represents that heavy-handed, the law is the law, we have to follow it, there are no exceptions, that's what it says on this book. The same way that we do with religious people, where we just go, nope, nope, this is what the Bible says, it's really clear about it, and you're like, but then we have it where we have the wonderful bits where Nira's kind of going, yeah, it does say that, however, it also says this, and they don't go together. The same way that with the Bible, we can be like, hey, this passage specifically says this. Oh, but in this other thing, it totally contradicts it. They're both in the same Bible, so which one is it? And then you're like, that's why you cannot be totally inflexible with something. You cannot be totally inflexible with the law. You have to consider exceptions. You have to consider individual cases. And you've got to look at the intention. You've got to be like, why does that law exist? Oh, that law exists to protect us from dangerous augments.
Yeah.
Is Una a dangerous augment? No. There seems to be absolutely... Is she going to be a Carnoonian Singh? No. Okay, well...
But this is the thing. This is the problem. It's always the what if.
Yeah.
What if she becomes a dangerous augment? What if she has powers that not even she knows about because of these genetic enhancements? What if? The paranoia, the we don't know, the fear of what might happen means that the law is not open for interpretation, and it is just a rigid, she is an augment, she was genetically enhanced, no. And that's it. And this episode just really challenges that, and it's a good ending in one way, but it's not a good ending in another one, because yes, Una's charges are dropped and she is found not guilty. However, the wider repercussions of this go nowhere, and we can see that, like you said, with our Dr. Bashir, I presumed, 120 years later, it is still an issue for the Federation, and you have to think how many other people are affected by this.
Yeah, but it's also the idea of that's something that we as a society need to learn. Like I get very sort of concerned in the LGBT plus community with people thinking that things are going to happen tomorrow. Like people thinking that like massive change, like society is just going to flick around and then accept transgender people. Like, you know, it's the idea of, oh, suddenly they're just going to totally change their mind and everything's going to like be perfect. And there are people that I speak to who genuinely go, oh, it's coming next week. Oh, it's going to be, you know, everyone's going to, and you're just like, no, this might not even happen in our lives, you know, like that's the peril. It's the people the fighting through the sort of the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s especially. They couldn't say for sure that 20 years 30 years later we were going to have like gay marriage, we were going to have like, you know, a cure for AIDS, well, not a cure for AIDS, but a way of preventing HIV and AIDS. And it's that idea of you fight because you need to fight, and you take the victories that you can get, hoping that they are a stone towards the wall that you're wanting to build. That's a bad analogy considering America. But, you know, the bridge you want to build. They are a stone towards the bridge you want to build. There we go.
Yeah, I absolutely get it. But I love this episode, and I am so grateful that we have got a chance to re-review this episode. It still stands up to this day, and I really, really hope we get more terrific standout episodes like this in Strange New Worlds. I know we're getting season 3 this year. There was a delay because of the writer's strike, but I am very excited about this. But it is just this is I mean, season 2 was brilliant. Those Old Scientists, Subspace Rhapsody, but this for me is possibly the best episode of season 2, because this is what Star Trek is. This is Star Trek. No space battles, no action pew pew pew. This is Star Trek tackling the moral, the legal, the intellectual, the ramifications of decisions made years and years ago where things were different, and now that things have changed, ideologies have changed, how do we approach it, how do we change a lot? And this is the 21st century's measure of a man for me, and I will always have this episode in the highest of respects. And I think when the panel was at STLV last year when it was the Strange New Worlds panel. Again, someone asked about Ad Astra Per Aspera, and they didn't really have a question. They were just they loved it so much, and they said what a terrific, brilliantly written episode. And the entire and I mean, I'm talking like a football field size auditorium just erupted in applause because of this episode.
And that's it. And this is the weird thing. You get people going like, oh, that we talked about it in our summary of STLV and whatnot, but that guy who was like a Trump dickhead, like the guy who was going around being like, oh, Star Trek's woke, like where he was looking at me in drag being like, oh, I don't agree with this. And it's like, that's cool. Doesn't affect me, you twat. Yeah. No, I was very nice to him, but it was the fact that he was obviously just, why are you at a Star Trek convention? But anyway, but it was the fact that he was there during like one of the panels, and he walked out of one of the panels and stuff when everyone else was celebrating and cheering, and I'm just like, who gets up at that moment? Who gets up when, like literally, or who can have that kind of weird worldview where they're literally in a room full of people cheering for something and be like, nah, like, yes, balls to the wall, like going, hey, disagreeing with the majority, which is like, takes a lot of courage. But at the same time, you're just going, they're cheering about people enjoying themselves and great things, and yet you're sort of, let's get up and walk out.
It's the fact that he paid money, actual money, and let's be honest, STLV is not cheap. He spent actual money to not only travel to Las Vegas, stay in Las Vegas, and attend a weekend convention purely to be a dick,
he made the friends we made, the amazing connections we formed with people, the amazing people we chatted to, and I never once saw him talk to anyone except his mum, who was also there with him, who was like an elderly, slightly disabled like woman, and you just like, so you haven't met any new friends, you haven't formed any new connections, or like I don't know, like there's a massive level of sympathy from me to people like that, because you just want to, like, I literally spent time with him, like chatting to him, being like sort of, hey, so about this, that, and the other, and he was very much kind of like going, well, no, don't agree with this, kind of. And I just kind of went, I don't have enough time this weekend to like try and break through or make you feel that you can open up or make you feel part of this community so that you will engage with the rest of us. But
there is an old saying, when did Star Trek become woke? September 1966.
Well, one thing I want to say before we move on from the episode is I want to talk about the other characters, because obviously I crap on Discovery and how it doesn't do character development, but how this episode has everybody in it, and they're not just there. They're not just... I think the only person who is there is... Oh, what's her name? Nurse...
Chapel's there.
Nurse Chapel, yeah. She's there, but she doesn't say anything. Like, I think she's the only example of one of the main cast who isn't involved in some way in it. But everyone else, like Mbenga has his wonderful line where he's talking about Pasak. Ortega has loads of little bits where she's just going, what the hell? Like, why do we still have these stupid laws? It's Una, like... being the voice of the audience, which tends to be the case with Ortega. And then we have Lon's amazing character. We have Spock. We have Spock. That's one of the brothers we don't know about. That's just in
so
next season 11. We're gonna have his brother 11.
Brother
Spock.
No. He puts up walls well. Right.
But yeah. But like even Spock, we get this wonderful like emotional thing where ironically, emotional thing where he's talking about like where they ask him, and you can and I want to rewatch this to look at Pasok's face during this, where they're going like, wouldn't it be logical to go, hey, we follow the law and we kick her out, and he's just like, no, it'd be logical not to hurt ourselves by getting rid of an amazing officer, and you're like, yeah. There we go. That is literally, it would be more damaging to get rid of her for this stupid law rather than actually, and it's so good. But La'an's the person I want to talk about, where it's the idea of she has this little subplot where she speaks, where she needs to go through and do an investigation to work out how the information about Una leaked. and she's doing it for Una, but then we find out that actually she's doing it for herself slightly because she thinks it might have been her because she said things in a personal log that could have been accessed or leaked by someone else.
Yeah.
And so she worries that maybe if Starfleet read the personal logs that they had acted upon it. And then it turns out that actually it was Una that put herself forward. But she goes on this little subplot where she goes to Uhura and goes like, and Uhura is only in this one scene and yet just nails it, like really memorable, really good acting, where she's like, oh, you're going to order me to break the law and look through someone's personal logs? Well, I'm not going to do that because I'm your friend. I know that that's going to end your career if they find out that you did that and broke that law, and I'm going to refuse. You're going to have to find the information another way. And so Laan goes on this mission and then has this wonderful emotional scene that I cried at. Like I cried at many points during this episode because it's so good and so emotional. But where Laan goes to Nira and Nira's like, "Why do you think that there's a mole? Why do you think that someone in Starfleet leaked this information?" And then Laan tells her that she's worried it's her, and that she is scared. She hates augments because she's scared that she's an augment herself. She's scared that there's some traces of the Noonien Singh augmentations in her bloodline and whatnot, and that she is in the same situation, and that and it really speaks of self-hating gays, like, you know, people who self-hate because of their gender, people who self-hate because of their sexuality, people who self-hate because of their race. And Nira basically just has the line where it's, "There's nothing wrong with you, Lieutenant." And it is so beautiful. It is just, you know, it's the idea of going, "Don't worry, you are fine. There is nothing wrong with you." And I absolutely loved it, you know. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. I don't think there was anything else further to say about Ad Astra Per Aspera. It is probably a perfect Star Trek episode, and really, really up there with all the other perfect Star Trek episodes.
Yeah.
Any other
What do
notes?
you think about it, though? Like, what you need to tell us in the comments. What do you think about this episode? Because
Well,
I
mean,
want to hear like any takes that we missed, any things that we should have commented on in this episode that you thought were interesting and that we didn't mention, kind of thing. Mention them in the comments. If you disagree with any of the things we've said, or you kind of you kind of go, well, actually, no, the message was this or whatever, then let us know, and then in a future episode we can address them. You know.
I want to know what fun facts you also have about this episode. Any behind the scenes facts or anything like that? I know that the courtroom was the Federation HQ from season 3 of Disco, that they just repurposed and stuff like that. But I want to know what fun facts you've got, any facts about the filming, any hidden secrets about deleted scenes or anything like that. Let us know in the comments below. But what did you think? Like Synoiz said, what did you think of this episode? Is it a great episode? Do you not like it that much? I want to know why you don't like it that much as well. Don't just say, "Oh, I don't like this. It's crap." Give us a reason why you don't.
Let's
like
get
it.
a discussion going,
Let's get
because
a
that's what this podcast is. We talk. We're, you know, like, we don't want to break down the episode and tell you what happens in the episode because you can just watch it. We'll give you a summary, but then we want to talk about the nuances and the
because what I will do as well, in the description below, I will have a link to our original review. So I don't really want to tread over old ground, but yeah, 2 years ago I was thinner and less hairy. But
I have not changed.
My God, you really haven't.
I haven't. I'm
look
just
fabulous.
eggs don't age. What I do though is when I get in water, if you put me in water, and if I float to the top, then it means that I've gone bad. I think that's how it works. Or is it Is it the opposite? Is it if I go down? If I go down, you know I've gone bad. There we go. There's a clip. But enough about Berlin.
Anyway, enough about Germany. We've put it off for long enough. We are receiving an incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission.
Oh, no, man.
Isaac, why? Welcome. It's not even a double wheel of honor. I have to change it.
You have to change it. We have to get rid of this double wheel of honor.
I'm changing it. Welcome, everybody, to the double wheel of shame. Now, If this is your first time watching Trekkin Up North, first of all, welcome. Give us a subscribe and obviously click that like button, which should be glowing right now, down below. The double wheel of episodes as a whole contains every episode of Star Trek in existence. What we have done, though, to spice it up, because we do like to challenge ourselves, and which we fail dramatically, as you've seen today, we have got 24 good episodes and 24 bad episodes. Welcome, everybody, to the double wheel of shame, where 24 horrendously bad episodes of Star Trek all lie in wait to torture us. Now, for an example, we have episodes such as Code of Honor.
There's a 1 in 24 chance now, Goodwill.
We have the
It's getting closer.
We have the non-existent episode, These Are the Voyages. Science Officer Synoiz. Out of the meaty, rotting carcass of episodes, which one are you looking forward to the most?
That's it. That's the
Code of Honor.
response.
He's looking forward to Code of Honor. Yeah. Do you know what? Just to rip off the Band-Aid, I too am looking forward to Code of Honor. So
Get it done. Get it out the way.
Right.
And then we'll put it back into the wheel so we can review it again.
A re-review in 2 years' time.
No, in like 3 weeks. It's just be like... The show it'll be like those Facebook pages where it's the same picture of Miles O'Brien every day. Every week we review Code of Honor.
I love that Facebook page so much. I really do. I deliberately scroll every morning until I see Miles's face and I'm like, yep, I can move on now. Right. Without further ado, oh Jesus. In 3 yeah. Once
and
it
you have
spins,
to yell Dabo.
Yeah, once it spins and it lands on an episode, we almost yell Dabo at the top of our lungs. You almost comment Dabo down below when you get to this point. So in 3, 2, 1. Oh my god. Oh, thank God.
It's one of mine. It's one of mine. It is my worst opening episode of Trek. It's the fact of like I said in the Dabo Wheel episode where we summarized all of the picks. I chose this one because I think it's probably the worst episode of DS9 in the capacity of it doesn't quite find its footing yet. And we have stuff like I don't like the way Cisco is portrayed. I think that it doesn't quite know what it wants to do with some of the characters. Some of the makeup isn't quite there yet and whatnot. And it's just clunky. It feels very clunky considering how good DS9 gets. So
this is gonna be a profit and lace situation because I'm on the other side of the fence. I like this episode because we get an exploration of Wolf 359 and the trauma behind it as well. So this is going to be not a divisive episode, but it's going to be a good episode where we can get both sides of our opinions out of there. But computer, take us back to the new layout.
That was good. That was a safe. That was a sort of. For our first spin on the Dabo Wheel of Shame, that was like a gentle sort of caress into it, I think. Because it could have been. I didn't even see Code of Honor come up, and I was just like, oh no, does that mean it could be there?
I saw Balance of Terror like 8
times.
On it. I saw Balance of Terror 8 times, and I was like, yes, because that's one of my favorite episodes.
It's one of the ones where I'm going to get so much hatred when we get onto Balance of Terror. But hopefully, though, like with this episode, maybe I'll reevaluate. Maybe I'll be able to watch it and be like, actually, no, it's not that bad. And actually, well, when you think about it like that, and when you think about it critically, it's not that bad. So I'm hoping this is only in the Dabo Wheel because of how good DS9 gets. If this level of episode was in, I don't know, Voyager or, forgive me, but Enterprise, I wouldn't have been that bothered. It wouldn't have made the Dabo Wheel.
we also get to find out if next week or next episode we get to spin the double wheel of honor or shame again. If you want to be involved in our challenges that get set to us, let me know in the comments below. What I will need is a portrait video of yourself setting myself and Science Officer Synoiz a challenge. If you want to be involved, let me know and I will message you privately or directly.
Don't mention the challenge. Don't mention the challenge in the comments, because the challenge needs to be a secret, because we're not allowed to pre-prepare. Because even this, I saw the video like a couple of seconds before we started actually recording, and I started thinking of things and being like, oh, could I do that? And I'm just like going, if we hear about it in advance, then we're gonna instinctively start thinking about it.
Due to the unique way the BBC is funded, due to the unique way that Trekkin Up North is built and broadcast, we cannot share the scene. We cannot share the scene audio. So Synoiz watched it a few seconds before I saw it, but he didn't say anything until I saw it. So. It is really hard, and I know some trekkers will go, oh, well, actually, you missed this person or this person. It's like, dude, put yourself on the spot, right? Just have some random gadget come up to you and go, name 10 characters that only appeared once in Star Trek, and you just go like, and that's what we did. We shit the bed, okay? So we need another challenge to get us back to the double wheel of honor. So if you want to be involved, let us know down in the comments below. But do you have anything else to add this?
I think obviously we're just very much wanting people to get involved. Join our Discord. We are part of the Nerdy Up North Discord. If you can join that, that's all in the description below. We have a Star Trek Trekking Up North section in that. And you can use all these things. The comments below, you can contact Goodwill at all the socials. You can contact me on the socials through the Discord and whatnot. But also the idea of, tell us the characters that, you think we should have had. But also, I want to hear your suggestions for what episode you would put into the double wheel of honor now that we've lost Ad Astra Per Aspera. And what episode you would put in the double wheel of shame now that Emissary is removed from it?
Oh, you sly devil, you.
Yes, let's. I don't know if we're going to refresh them just yet, but when we do start adding new things in, because when it gets to the point where it's literally like Code of Honor and one other Code of Honor and Prophet and Lace, we're just going to be like, okay, well. This is doomed,
What we will do, because obviously we're going to have season 3 of Strange New Worlds this year, so what we will do, we will take a break from the double wheel, and during that break, Science Officer Synoiz will add in new episodes based on the suggestions that we get. And then once Strange New Worlds is finished, I think there is going to be a bit of a drought when it comes to Star Trek, so we're going to have, not to worry, we've got 947 episodes and God knows how many more movies left to do. So we will add the new episodes to that. But yes, down below we have got the links to all the Trekkin Up North socials. If you want to contact me and have an idea for a challenge, on the YouTube channel there is the email, trekkinupnorth@gmail.com if you want to email us. We also have Nerdy Up North's socials and links down below as well. So we are part of the Nerdy Up North group. We have the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, which contains our older episodes of Trekking Up North on there, and there is content updated on that channel more or less every day at the moment. It is just a never-ending stream of content. We've got Monsters Up North, Gigs Up North, Gaming Up North, Nerdy Up North, North Up North, South Up
a
North,
lot of North,
West Up North. There is loads to check out there, and also we have also got our friends from the Clone Star podcast, Captain's Quadrant, Search for Trek. We've got Chris Garris's The Transporter Room, who is a huge supporter of Trekking Up North, so thank you very much for that, Chris.
Trek
Just
365.
Trek 365. Check them all down in the description below. We've got Adam Astridge Music, who did the theme tune, JL Soryu, who is one of the friends of the show. Everything is down below. Give them a follow. If you are not a subscriber to Trekking Up North, please think about giving us a cheeky little subscription and like this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Nerdy Up North channel and see whatever tickles your fancy there. Have you got anything else to add, Science Officer Synoiz?
Nothing at all.
Right. Without further ado, he has been Science Officer Synoiz. I have been Captain Goodwill of the USS Adequate. I want you all to take care of yourself, live long and prosper, and as ever, on Trekkin Up North. Miles?
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 Miles? Niles?
What are you
Dean?
doing? What are you doing down there?